Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to SCORE Bucks County's webinar on video production for digital marketing efforts. My name is Linda Zangrilli. I'm the current chapter chair for SCORE Bucks County. And this topic obviously is a hot one, and we have many people registered. But before we begin, I would just like to take a few moments to talk about SCORE, what we do and how we do it, and then I'll turn it over to our speaker for the day. SCORE is first of all, some housekeeping. You don't have to take notes. You will receive a copy of the recording as well as the slides. So that takes that burden off of you. Please hold all questions until the end. You can put your questions as you get them through the Q&A, and then we will make sure that we address everything before we end the webinar. Don't use the chat unless you want to chat. If you have a question, please put it in the Q&A. Makes it a little bit easier to manage. So a little bit about SCORE. We are a national nonprofit organization. We have some 350 chapters and 13,000 members all over the country. Here in Bucks County, we serve the entire county as well as Eastern Montgomery County with some 60 members. Our members come, they're all volunteers, and they come from all walks of life. They have all types of backgrounds. And we have a very simple mission. SCORE in general has one mission, and that is to foster small business. So we do this through free mentoring and free webinars, such as the one you're about to see today. We believe in educating the small business community, helping the small business community not just start their business, but also to grow their business and to become successful. So if you are in a position where you feel that you need some help with your business, you maybe just have an idea and you'd like to vet it, or you've got your business going and you just need some basics, please go to our website. We put it in the chat. It's buckscounty.score.org. Click on the big button that says, I want a mentor, and we will take it from there, and you will be assigned someone to help you. And again, the people in our chapter, they have all types of expertise, finance, marketing, customer service, you name it. There's people there who come out of both corporate America, as well as those who have started their own business and walked in the same shoes as many of you are walking. So please tap into our resources. Again, it's free and we'd love to help you. Okay, that's my commercial for today. So before I turn it over to our speaker, I would like to introduce the gentleman who is the head of our seminar committee. He's the gentleman that finds all these people, finds all these topics that are pertinent to small business. His name is Ed Torello. Ed?
Thank you very much, Linda, and thank you all for clicking in with us today. And just so you know, between January and September, this is one of 35 webinars that Bucks County School will be hosting. This is a very interesting one. We've had a lot of questions about video production and everything that goes along with it. And so we've been very fortunate to have Craig DeVito, as our speaker. Craig is a professor and instructor of mass communications and digital video imaging and photography at a number of colleges in the region. And he also has a business on the side that caters to creating video, television, and live web streaming. He basically does everything you'd ever want in the video area. And what I'm going to do is just turn it over to Craig now so that he can start his presentation. Craig?
Good afternoon. Well, we had afternoon yet? Yeah, good morning. Hi, everybody. Yeah. Thanks, Ed, and thanks everybody from SCORE for this opportunity to talk to you, to the group live today out on the internet. So, hi, everybody. Again, what you're doing is you're seeing a slide deck here, and I'm going to be running through the slide deck. I am doing this presentation from my home office. I do have dogs and family, so if there's any interruptions, please pardon me for sound in the background. I try my best to mitigate that, but as you understand from working from home, these things happen. So let's start with going through the slide deck a little bit. I'll just once again reintroduce myself for clarity. My name is Craig DeVideo, and the joke that always comes up is that your real last name. So yes, it is my real last name, and I'm a Philadelphia native, and I'm living out in Montgomery County now. I've got a graduate degree from Philadelphia University and a bachelor's from Temple in the communications and radio, television, and film degree status there at Temple, and then in the instructional design and technology at Philly U. I'm on the board of the American Guild of Court Videographers, and I'm a certified senior court videographer as well. I hold some other certifications in television, video, and software applications too. I run a business. It's called Premium Studios, and I have an LLC under Premium Event Studios. So I go out and I teach college level television. That's a primary obligation for me. And I also do my own audio, video, and photography work, which includes everything from basic, simple video camera shooting of an interview to live television production with multiple cameras and live switching and live streaming. So if you have any questions at all regarding sound reinforcement, normal, everyday, traditional digital still photography, as well as anything in the television video realm, if I can't answer it properly, I'll guide you to a person that can. So that's who I am. I have two separate business sites. One is for my corporate clientele, which is the premiumstudios.com, and one is for my social event company, which is the Premium Event Studios. You find out that the corporate clients don't like the ideas that you work for the social event clients, and the social event clients don't love the idea that you work for corporate clients. They want them to be separated. So I have two business presences out there on the net. As you had heard from your organizers today, I have been instructing television video college level since 1990. So this is my 32nd year fundamentally of being out there in the college environment here in the Philadelphia region, Pennsylvania region, teaching all levels of television video to students that are at that age of 18 and above. So I've had people that were 50 and 60 coming back to school, and I've got a lot of the traditional college level students that are coming right from high school. So many of them are aspiring television video people. They want to become, the next movie producer or somebody to work in Hollywood. And I help them develop their skill set. I'm very big into competency. That's kind of who I am. If my middle name was to be changed, I'd change it to competency, because I care so much about people actually doing things correctly at a very high level. And then the other things will happen around them. Knowing how to do it correctly is what's important. So for today's webinar, we're going to be talking about what it means to do things for somebody who has no experience and somebody who has a whole lot of experience, maybe even took a class or two already, and is kind of checking in on what I'm going to present today. Hopefully this will refresh those people who know things already, and will help those people who know very little get them on their feet a little bit. So because I've been in the industry for a long time, I've learned a lot of the legacy gear, meaning I can take a VHS tape as an example, and I can transfer that VHS tape over to a computer, and I can get it up to your YouTube account and on your phone and on your Apple Watch or whatever. So I know how to do those things. I work through so many of the older technologies. And I'm now keeping a firm finger on the pulse of the new technologies that are in front of us. So with all that said, I've worked for thousands of clients that are nonprofit groups and are normal businesses, let alone our normal families that just want to tell their story and what it means for them to be effective in thinking through what their story is. And then I help them build their story. In many cases, I view the client as being the architect of the story, meaning they design the story along with me helping them, which is what I'm going to hopefully help you do a little bit today. And then I become the builder or the construction company that creates the story for them. And that's really what you need to be doing with your own business, right? You need to be able to tell your clientele what you do, how you do it, and how you do it effectively, so they know you're the appropriate choice or the best choice or the only choice in regards to your competition. So video becomes the de facto most important element in online presentations, on website design, on Facebook, on things like that. You're trying to always make programming that tells your story effectively. All the videos I make are called the moving brochures, right? So it's physically who you are created as a brochure on paper. You tell that same paperwork, but you tell that on a, in a video window on YouTube that's attached to your other accounts. Yes, of course, as it says, I still am an instructor that teaches television video. So I'm teaching several classes a week at colleges around the area. And so I know all sorts of students, students that are very, very high level, come from high schools that supplied them with all the gear you can possibly imagine, and to high schools that gave them no experience at all, but they have a dream. And the entry level class, the Video 101 class, that I designed, or I design, or I go in and I teach in a college that has already a predetermined outline. I've taken that kind of content and crunched it down to this little tiny presentation today. It's just like day one of Video 101. Okay, that's how you have to view how we're going to work through today. I do still work as a freelancer in television production. So I still do TV commercial work and television work, as well as my own video and audio work. So as I said, I run a business creating television, video programming, or live streaming. So those things are the things I still do. And, I'm passionate about what I do. I just don't teach it. I do what I teach, right? So obviously, as I write here, there's much to be taught in a traditional 15-week course. If you are going to meet once a week for 2 or 3 hours of class, this webinar has to be thinned out. And it's meant to touch on the real basics of what it means to develop a story, recording that story fundamentally, and publishing it. So we're going to just do not a deep dive in all those subjects, but we're going to certainly hit on all of them a little bit. So what am I going to try to achieve today? The simple methods of storytelling of your organization used by professionals. I say from concept to completion, meaning, you have an idea and you have to eventually get it out there to the public. And what does that mean to get it out there to the public? So the simple methods of storytelling are going to be the first subject we're going to cover in the slide deck. The distinction between contracting a professional to create raw materials for you on the web versus you doing it guerrilla style, or you doing it with just your own technology. So we're going to do a little comparison contrast of what it means for you to do something completely on your own, and versus you going out and looking for a vendor to be that person to supply services for you to create real high level stuff. And it doesn't mean that you can't do real high level stuff. You would hope that the person who's been in the industry for a lot of years maybe has a few more buttons to push and has a few more understandings of the technologies. That's why you look to outside vendors, right? Some methods and some locations to post that information, where it can go. So we're not going to take a real deep dive, but we're going to be talking about some online services. Some very simple lighting, some very simple sound, and some very simple camera placement techniques, and what that means, and where to put the equipment, and where to and what to think about regarding the sound and lighting, because that's inevitably very, very important, because your camera is only one part of the chain of tools that you have to create this media, which we call videos, right? Videos for the web. And and the last thing we talked about is, again, methods of interacting with already established companies that can produce high level stuff. And so we're just going to recap again. So I just want to point out real simple that your camera is unimportant. I know we're all very, very wrapped up with the fact that you've got a cell phone that can shoot in 4K. And that's very, very cool, or maybe HD, or an iteration of HD, a high definition. And we think a lot about the fact that the camera must be the reason why our videos look good. And it's true that if a knife is very, very sharp, it could cut, slice through your food easier. And I get the fact that a much more higher quality piece of camera gear would acquisition much higher quality footage. But, what we say in classroom time, and it's a little bit of a joke, I say that what 4K will provide a entry-level student is video footage of them shooting out of focus sharper, right? Or them shooting incorrect white balance clearer. So the 4K or the Ultra HD or the high definition, all it's really providing you with is a much sharper picture. It's not making your videos better. So even if you are shooting in a standard definition format or a high definition format, or in this case, if you've gone to 4K, yes, I get the fact it would be nice to shoot in very high quality footage and the highest quality footage your camera can allow for. But I'm warning you now that from a cinematographer's point of view, a videographer's point of view, a producer's point of view, the message has to be clear and your client has to inevitably be happy. So it doesn't matter to me about the camera you're using. So I write here, it's not the camera, it's what you do with the camera, how many angles are you including, how it's lit, how it sounds, what props you use, what costumes were worn, how creative the storyline is, and how well it's stitched together in the editing. So there are many elements in you telling that final story. You know, I don't think out of all the years, I've had clients say to me, tell me the model of the camera that you're using to shoot the video for me. And if any one of you were to interact with a company like mine and say, look, I need a video made for my company, I need a cable commercial, you're not necessarily worried that I'm bringing out a real high-end DSLR or a full-size video camera. What you're concerned with is that what I do for you tells the story correctly, and your clientele, the people who watch your movies, they then say, boy, that's a great company I want to do business with. So you're really engaging with somebody so they help you tell your story. And since you're making your own videos, you have to be in charge of telling your own story, right? And telling it correctly. So the question is, did your client like it, right? So we're going to turn off some screen share, and I'm going to click back and forth a little bit here. So you have to give me a moment or two as I'm doing that. And I'm very appreciative of your understanding in those matters. So we're going to talk about storytelling first, some simple parameters to that. So the simple methods of storytelling of your organization used by professionals, from concept to completion, simple web-based stuff. So I'm going to now get something else up and running here, and I have to get up and running for you. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to screen share that particular element. So thanks very much. Just give me a moment because I've got a lot happening on my screen. Linda, hi. Okay, Linda, I think you took your mic off mute there because I can hear you. There you go. Excellent. Very good. Thank you so much. So I'm going to do I'm going to stop this screen share for a moment. And I'm going to do a screen share to another element that's on my screen. All right, so this is an example of some paperwork that I give out, and Ed and Linda and anybody that's in the administration here, if you can't see this properly, come back on and tell me, okay? So I don't know if it's coming out to Zoom correctly. I hope it is, yeah? Okay, give me a thumbs up or something.
It's fine.
Thanks very much. So what you're seeing here is an example of a letter that I would copy paste and give out to my clients to help them organize their thoughts. Because when they call me and they say, you know, they're Jane and Joe's Pizzeria and they want to make a cable commercial for Comcast and Verizon, and they want to advertise in Philadelphia Fox 29 and whatever it might be, ABC, CBS, and NBC, you know, 3, 6, 10 here in Philly. I then start off by saying to them, okay, let's just talk about what it means for you to understand yourself, right? I can go to your website. I certainly can, and I do, and I hunt and peck around and I read what you say about yourself. And I ask you what kind of brochures and paperwork and marketing material to give out to your clients. And then I read through that. And then I inevitably answer these questions for you, right? If that's what you want me to do, I'll do that for you. But you need to do these things for yourself, right? Like I asked you very simply, you should know about your own product. Tell us about your product. Who are your current customers? You know, what is the cost associated with your product? How much is your product actually cost? Maybe you have multiple products. This is a larger conversation, of course. So like if you have a specific, if you sell, you know, you're a small jewelry store and you sell all sorts of jewelry, or do you just sell necklaces, or do you just sell earrings? I suspect that would be a crazy only one product sales store, but let's pretend you had one product versus multiple. So what is your company's position in the marketplace, right? Has your company ever used video before? If yes, can we view those products? And what were the results of those? We still call them videotapes, believe it or not. We should probably just rename that videos. If you had to choose, what would be one key point you like to make in the video? What do you want people to really know about you, right? What's one thing that differentiates you from someone else? It is difficult, even for me, as I sit here today doing this webinar, to tell you what differentiates me from all the other independent producers in the Philadelphia region, in New Jersey, Delaware, New York. Everybody's got their own story. Everybody wants to tell you they're the best. And you believe you're the best too. And I believe you are the best at what you do, you know, but telling, a client that doesn't know you how you differentiate is a very big deal. It takes a lot of time to think through who you are, and then to find those differentiating things. You know, they say you got to sell the features and benefits, right? Not the stuff. It doesn't matter that you own a big building or a big truck, or you have a fleet of people that work for you. It doesn't matter. It matters that the client gets something different from you in a manner that will help separate you from your competition. So what specific problems you wish to solve with the video? As an example, maybe in your case, you send out sales representatives all the time, and they have to go out to all these different places in the universe to sell. Now, inside of COVID, I know that's changed. So now you may have gone on to Zoom to do something like this, whereas maybe SCORE as an organization may have had a seminar at a reception area, and somebody like me could have come and spoke on stage, right? Whereas this is a solution to the COVID epidemic, or maybe just to getting people together that are difficult to get together. What problems do you have that you want to solve? What will the video do for you? Is it meant to be a video program for you to put at a trade show, or is it meant for your website? Because if the whole objective of our webinar today is to talk about taking a video and put it to the web, well, you guys all probably understand that any 12-year-old does that every day on TikTok, right? So what you need to understand is the message of your video, and then how to get that video from its final edit up to a place and take that from its place to your site. So there's some triangulation there that is beyond today, right? It's not going to be, we're not going to go through every single thing today, again, because it would have to be, a much longer seminar. So again, how do customers know about all of your company's attractive options? What do they know? So, then we talk about budget. And this is about, when people are trying to prepare to engage with an outside agency, you're not doing that here today. And I get that. So we're going to skip the budget questions, but a lot of these things relate, like what format suits your needs. Do you have in-house talent? Do you want to do the voiceover? Or do you want somebody like me who's done, hundreds of voiceovers, non-professional, non-union, of course, but hundreds of voiceovers, to do the voiceover to be the voice of your business? Or do you want to hire somebody from across the pond and because you want a special kind of accent on your video program? You think that would add to the charisma and the attractiveness of your program? Do you have somebody in your life that creates musical scores? Do you already have logos that are done? Or do I need to recreate logos for you? So all these things play into what that final video could look like when you're dealing with you doing it by yourself, or you're dealing with an outside agency. So I'm answering some of the questions that we're going to be engaging in later. I also make a big deal when I talk to my clients to give me all the printed material that relates to their business, all the marketing material. And if they have already seen other companies in the area doing similar video programs, I need to see those videos too. I need to know what the competition is currently doing and how they're doing it and why they might be making headway using video programming. And then we compare that to what your goals are and try to work backwards, right? So a lot of questions. You can see that I am very inclusive of what I need to do to make sure that we're clear about your storyline. We'll stay here for a minute on this document. I even get out of the video a secondary set of pages that talks about how to understand making a video, right? So for those people who don't know, there are 5 stages in making a video, right? And the word a video is like a photograph and audio recording of a band or something. There's pre-production, which is planning it. There's production, which is acquisitioning the raw material, which is in our case, shooting it. Or if it's a photographer, it's taking the picture. Or if it's an audio engineer, it's recording the live sound. There's post-production, which is the editing world, which is actually spending time and energy sitting and cutting it together and trying to back it together and deciding what it's going to look like, and adding graphics and adding color correction and adding color grading and adding voiceover and adding special effects and visual effects and adding titles and honing it and ironing it out and glossing it up and waxing that car, right? You're making it look beautiful in the edit. And once you're done the third stage of editing, what do you do with it? Right? It has to be duplicated in most cases. And if this were in the days of DVDs, then I would make you hundreds of DVDs. I would even go over to a company over in New Jersey called Disc Makers, and they'd make DVDs in hard-shelled cases with imprinted labels. Now that we're not dealing with standard definition anymore, and this is actually very good to say, for those people who don't know this, DVDs are standard definition. There's another kind of optical disc that looks exactly like a DVD, and it's called a Blu-ray. And the Blu-ray disc is a 25 gig disc. It's a very, very large capacity disc. And that Blu-ray disc is or can be a high definition disc. So Blu-ray discs are high definition, DVDs are standard definition. So somebody that creates a HD video workflow for you, they shoot on HD, they edit on HD, they export in HD. If they're going to make you a disc, and it's going to stay HD, it has to be a Blu-ray disc, fundamentally. So when people say make me a DVD, I tell them that the DVD I'm making you is standard definition. That means I'm going down in quality from what I originally made for you. So I just wanted you to understand that the duplication might not be happening anymore necessarily. You might not be duplicating anymore. But the truth is, maybe in some of the packages and materials you're sending out to your clients, you're going to want to give them a flash drive, like a little SD card of some type. And I've got SD cards I bought over the internet that are this big. Tiny little SD cards that are 128 gigs for an SD card, right? Crazy. I've even bought ones that look like this, which look like, toys, right? This one looks like a Lego log, right? How crazy that can look. And you can send these things out to clients with your video content on it, with your final edits on it, with your paperwork on it, your PDFs and your sales materials. So regarding duplication of material, that can still exist, but we've kind of skipped duplication in the world of online technology, right? We go right to distribution. You do your edit, and then you have to distribute it. How does it get out there? So then, the last stage is, where does it go? Distribution, you should be mailing content out. And I still mail flash drives out. I still mail. I'll shoot a football game for somebody on a Friday night, and then I'll edit it, and I'll get the final edit made, and I'll put it to a Google Drive, and I'll send them an invitation, and they'll go download it, and I'll mail them a flash drive with their final video on it, so they have it, or a hard drive, so they have it. It's all, that tactile experience is also very important for the customers, right? But they're the 5 stages, right? So you plan it, you shoot it, you edit it, you duplicate it, and you distribute it and get it out to your customer in one way or another. I take those same 5 areas and I tell people how to make television commercials on paper, mind you. Right. So it talks about what it means to you figuring out your own mission statement and what you want to say and how you want to say it. Do you want to be that on-camera actor? Do you want to hire an on-camera actor? Is this going to be walking through somebody's store? There's like a million stories that I can tell you, and I'm limiting my content for today's presentation. But one of the million stories is when I walk into your facility and I'm going to shoot a cable commercial for you, same for you. I've got to sometimes walk in and say, let's clean that corner. Let's organize that corner. Let's Windex those windows. Let's wipe down those counters. Let's stack all that paperwork, right? I'm there to make your place and you look beautiful, because like a photographer making you look beautiful for one single image, as a video person, which you are with your own cell phone, and you do those reverse cell phone videos to post to the internet, you need to make yourself look beautiful too. So be aware that your environment is in that image plane, right? Whatever that camera sees, the customer is going to see, which includes here. Like you're seeing a false background today because I don't want you to see my back wall, right? That's why I'm doing the virtual. I'm using a special computer just for that today, So the idea of writing a commercial and creating the paperwork for the commercial is in all the pre-production stages, right? We go through those steps of writing a script and writing a storyboard and designing who's going to act and how they're going to act. And I'm going to be showing you some examples today too. Production, of course, is the day of shooting. So, you probably understand this, but when you're doing it on your own, you're responsible for everything. It's like cooking your Thanksgiving dinner, and you're responsible for every component of the meal. When you are the company that's creating the actual final presentation, if you're not going to hire somebody out and you're doing it by yourself, every single element is your responsibility. So production is that area of creating the raw stuff. And believe you me, from all the students I've taught over the last 32 years, and I've taught in some environments where there was day camps even, and I taught little kids, the intuitiveness, the creativeness, that spark that occurs in their head. The first thing they want is a prop. They want a prop. They want a costume. They want to do set design. They want to hang a sheet in the background so it looks like an environment of a spaceship, and they want to wear a helmet, and they know what they want. They're imitating what's already out there, right? They're imitating the best, and the best is television and movies that you already are seeing. They're imitating the masters, and that's what you need to do. If you're going to make movies about your business, you need to imitate the best commercial packages that are already on the internet, that are already on television. And believe it or not, there's really not much separation anymore between television and the internet. I think they're both homogenized now, that you could say whatever I create for Comcast to air about, Joe and Jane's store down the street, that same video will be on their website. So it's the same thing, just two different delivery methods. And again, for the purpose of commercials, you have to not only plan it and shoot it, but you have to get it edited. You have to make copies of it, and then, of course, give it to whoever's going to do the broadcast. While we're here, we'll continue at this level. That you need to have release forms, by the way. Everybody, anybody that's on your videos, please, they need to have signed a release form. So if you're going to do something in your house or with your family, and you're going to do something with your business, and you've got, the person working behind the desk, and they're soldering something, or they're mixing something, or they're a sales representative going out to a store, and you want to grab that phone and shoot some content, you have to remember something, that everybody that's in your video programs needs to sign off on a release form. And a release form is one of the most important elements. You can get a release form that you would recreate from the internet, right? I make my own release forms. So I do a lot of research, and I create my own content. There are release forms for kids, for animals, for locations. Most important element is you have to have authorization to use that material. And by the way, if you are going to go on location at all, probably you need to be insured to go on those locations. As a business, I have to have insurance to even leave my house and pick up my camera and go out. I have a $4 million policy. And for all those people on the internet right now that sell policies, you understand. Now I have to make sure I protect myself for liability and theft in case I hurt somebody or I break something in that place of business. We may as well stay in this vein for a minute and talk about money, because people always ask, how much do people charge? Well, I'm going to just pull this up for a minute. And I'm going to go face to face with you for a minute, and we're going to talk for a second here. Money is a very awkward conversation to have, but in your case, you're making videos for yourself. So you don't charge yourself. You don't say that the kind of content that you're making, you need to, at the end of the year, tally up and say, I invested 50 hours into creating this video, so I'm going to charge myself. But if you're going to end up going out and looking for a vendor, one of the first questions that ever gets asked is, how much do you charge? Of course. And I suspect that's what people ask you when they call you. How much do you charge for your services? And it's like, they don't really care that you do a good job or a bad job. They care about what you charge. You could say, I charge $1 million an hour, I tell my clients, and then they laugh. And then we get past that money question, and I start talking about what they want to do. So what I'm about to show you, or what I'm about to scroll through, is just an example of some of the pricing paperwork I give out, so you understand when you're talking to somebody else how they understand about your business. Okay, because they know that you're looking for somebody. They know that you want to hire somebody, because if you could do it yourself, you would. And that's what a lot of us are trying to do, is do it by ourselves. And I admire that. So, excuse me, recovering from COVID, by the way, and I hope none of you get it either, right? There you go. So I have a commercial rate sheet, as well as I've got a rate sheet that's attached to my social event. So we've got how much it costs, time for scripting, meaning pre-production, me planning things. I do hourly rates and day rates for shooting. I do hourly rates and day rates for editing, meaning if someone wants to sit with me and edit. And these vacillate, so they change. So I might give a better deal to somebody, right? I have a whole section on tape duplication, on duplication of media, of old DVD technology, of VHS technology, or if you want to do flash drives, right? I've got content on people that want me to shoot on location and edit something the same day. I've got packages made for what they call music video productions for people and same day edits and telling your story, family history programs. People want photo collages created. So I've got packages and I've got an outline, and any vendor you deal with should be like me, should give you out an outline similar to this, which explains what they're going to do and has a price attached to it. If you deal with a vendor that isn't going to be honest with you and isn't going to tell you up front how much they charge, I think a problem you're going to have is they're going to try to, in the end result, say, well, you know, our prices went up. That should be clearly outlined on paper. There isn't a vendor, a photographer, an audio engineer, a video person, a television person that I deal with that I don't talk about money up front. And you should do the same. And you should feel compelled that it's fair and it's okay to say that up front, right? Like, gee, I'm interested in knowing how we're going to do this. Like, what does this mean? You're going to bring out 1 camera operator, 3 camera operators. You're going to be there for 3 hours, for 12 hours. You're going to edit for 1 day, edit for 4 days. And what does that really cost? Maybe they'll make you a better deal and they'll talk with you about it. But if you don't hire somebody, you're doing it by yourself. And you've got to then go out and do, and I haven't gotten to rental, which I'm going to be talking about that in a few minutes, about you renting gear and, you know, and going out and getting resources. So when I get to that slide in the PowerPoint, you'll understand. And yeah, it's very important. Now, by the way, you guys are putting things in chat that I'm not seeing. I'm not seeing it because I'm so into the seminar. So I'm appreciative of you responding to me, and I will read through them at the end. Okay.
Yeah,
so
don't worry about it. We'll take care of it.
Yeah. So thanks so much again for your responses. I'm just not paying attention to it because I'm working through the actual presentation. So I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint now again. Here's the PowerPoint. We talked about the distinction of contracting a professional to create the materials for you versus you doing a guerrilla style for your own. At least we talked about it a little bit, right? Because inevitably you're going to be going out and doing a lot of things on your own. And I'm going to give you some advice now that could be the best advice that maybe you're ever going to get that relates to acquisitioning footage. If you own a phone, gentlemen and ladies, please do me a favor. Always shoot this way. Please do not shoot this way. Do not shoot vertically like this. We need horizontal television. If you look at the television up on your counter at your house when you stay at night and binge watch your Netflix show you like, you know, you're watching a horizontal 16:9 window. The computer screen you're looking at right now, it is horizontal 16:9. And my phone can shoot video horizontal 16:9. So please shoot this way. So the day that you go sit with a video editor and you give them your phone and they plug in and extract all the video content, it's shot in an aspect ratio that your clients recognize, right? Because it's normal television. We all shoot like this when we're at the family affair and it's a birthday party of your nephew. I get it. But quite frankly, that's just for you. You're the home user. If you're making a TikTok or something for the internet that's like that, then yes, their rules are different. They do it 9:16. So they shoot it this way. But for everything else, please shoot horizontal. And if you want my advice, imagine for a moment that this hot cup of coffee, best dad ever, is filled up to the brim with scalding hot coffee. And if you were to hold this hot cup of coffee and you were to walk from here to there, how would you hold that? That cup of coffee you'd hold up in the air and your whole body would be like one giant spring, right? You would be making sure that coffee does not bleed off and burn your hand. That's how I need you to hold your cell phone. You have to act like you're standing on an earthquake zone, right? And you are a spring made of jelly, and that camera has to float. If that camera floats and it's floating like this horizontally, chances are the footage you're going to get will look good, right? It might not look, if you wanted to give it a grade, maybe it'll be an A-, maybe not quite an A, but an A-. And an A- is darn good. right? But I see too many people that are shooting and they're holding their phone kind of weird, and they don't really respect that what they're acquisitioning, they need to use on their final video program someday. So please shoot steady and shoot, again, horizontal, not vertical, unless you know that's important to you and that's what you want. I guess some people might say that's what they want. I don't know. That's its own conversation, I suspect. So, but for me, if you're going to come to my office and you want to edit something, I'd like it to be horizontal and I'd like it to be steady, please. Okay. So, number 2, the distinction of contracting a professional to create content material versus you doing it on your own with your own mobile device. Thank you. 3. So let's talk about posting your stuff and what that might mean. There are really 2 places in the world where you're going to be posting your stuff, right? It's either going to be on YouTube, or maybe you're going to go to Facebook because you engage with Facebook. But the truth is there are 2 companies that professionally I engage with. So I'm going to get this so organized. It's going to take me a moment. So once again, I thank you for your understanding. This takes some time to move content around the screen. For those people who have heard of this company called YouTube, I know all of you have heard about it. I mean, come on, it's not like I'm making a joke here that when I say it, you're going to say that you've never heard of YouTube. Everybody on the planet has heard of YouTube. YouTube, for those people who don't understand this, gives you a YouTube channel because you have a Gmail account. So if you do, like, again, I have a craigdavideo@gmail.com. So that gives me a YouTube account. And many of my videos are up on that YouTube account. So if you have, Ed Torello@gmail.com, he would have a YouTube account attached to his name. So if you've got a Gmail account, you automatically have a YouTube account. And that means you've got the ability to put your video content up to that YouTube account. And once it's there, you can then access that video by finding what they call the hyperlink. And that's the address that's at the top. And I'm pretty sure you can't see me doing this, but where it says youtube.com/ after this, we'll have a bunch of numbers and letters, and that would be the exact address of your video if you're watching it on YouTube that day. So YouTube is a automatic gimme. Everybody has one because everybody's got a Gmail account. And if you don't have one, go make one. So let's say you run a manufacturing business out in somewhere in Bucks County. I don't know. Let's say you're way out in Street Road somewhere. So you may have manufacturing on Street Road at gmail.com, or, A+ manufacturing, that's the name of your business. Whatever it is, if you have that at gmail.com, that's a safer name because that puts me in a position as a video person helping you that your YouTube account will be easier to find because that will be the name of your YouTube account as well. You could name it what your Gmail is named. So make sure your name is easy to find and things of that nature. Now, I don't know if at this point, if I click over to Vimeo, Ed, can you confirm, do you guys see the Vimeo now? It says choose a plan.
I see the words choose a plan and the word video, but nothing. It's just whatever you wrote on there.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. So you're seeing Vimeo. Vimeo is another. Yes. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that, Ed. Vimeo, Vimeo, not video. Vimeo, Vimeo is a location on the internet where you can pay for web storage of your media. So you choose a plan, literally, and you can put your videos, just like the videos you created that you put to YouTube, you can put those same videos up to Vimeo. And Vimeo's regulations are very, very, very different than YouTube. So YouTube is owned by Google. Vimeo, owned by whatever corporation owns Vimeo, I guess it's Vimeo, right? So Google owns YouTube, which means Google, when you put content up on YouTube, Google search engine can find your videos really easy. And also Google punishes you big time if you put anything up on YouTube that has copywritten content. right? And I'll tell you a story about that in just a moment. Vimeo, on the other hand, you're paying to have room on their servers, and you're paying for people to be able to go to Vimeo and watch your video programming. So here in Vimeo, they have a whole different set of policies for the video content that you put up there. A lot of people that are what we call the creatives put their movies up here, and they put their content up here because Vimeo's systems are completely different. And that means you could put something up on Vimeo, right? Pay for it, take the hyperlink from Vimeo and give that out to all your customers and put that up on your website, and people can watch it forever because you have a subscription, which you're paying for. You are paying for it. Remember, I'm not saying this one's free. They have, I think, a basic plan for free, and then you can pay for the other plans. You can see 250 gigs for every year and a 1 terabyte every year, and you pay for a certain amount of storage. And what's so cool, though, about Vimeo, which is the best thing about Vimeo, is that you can end up making a deal with the people at Vimeo that you could sell your video programs. Let's say you were a dance studio, right, that taught people how to dance in your building, but you want to make a bunch of dance training videos, and you hire a professional like me to go do that, or you make them with your own cell phone, whatever. You could post these up on Vimeo in a certain way and make an account and make a store where people can come up to your store and buy your video programming and download it. It's very, very cool. And there aren't that many places on the internet that do this. I know there are others. Somebody might want to correct me, but I love Vimeo. And so I'm a Vimeo promoter, and I love YouTube because of what YouTube is. So you should think about that when you're doing your shopping around. Like, do you want to go to YouTube, right? Or do you want to go to Vimeo and put your materials up there? I'm going to stop my screen share so I can effectively select my next screen. I didn't want to jump around there in front of you. The story I was going to tell you is very brief. I did a live stream this weekend past for an organization called the Tesla Science Foundation. And I'm really happy to be a part of their organization. They're a nice group of people. And we basically are out there promoting what it means to talk about free energy in the world and how it would benefit us if we had free energy in the world. And I did a live stream, which meant that I had to take people's video content and play it through the live stream. And as I did that, unfortunately, some of the people that made the content for us that I live streamed had music on their videos, and the music they had on their videos, here's the Tesla Science Foundation site, some of the music they had on their videos was copyrighted. So even though I did this live stream for 4.5 hours out to their site, and it was a successful live stream, and people from all across the world watched it, a couple hours after it was posted, YouTube blocked it and said that they saw content on it that was not supposed to be there. So you've got to be very, very hyper aware that YouTube will chase you. YouTube will chase you down, and YouTube will stop you if you've got anything that has any kind of copywritten material. So I did want to say all that and get that over with. And I'll be with you in 1 second. I'm clicking back and forth here so we can continue our presentations. Okay. So when you're posting, of course, you'll take your final video program, put it up to YouTube. You can grab the URL from there, or you could pay for a subscription, a membership to Vimeo, and you can buy that too. There are even ways of buying into YouTube, which they have another version, another iteration of YouTube. You can buy into YouTube and actually get a subscription there and get better. They're trying to compete with places like Vimeo as well. So, but I'm still a big proponent, a big promoter of Vimeo. So it is what it is. I know some of you might know different. So yeah, that's in that subject. So let's continue to talk about what it means to do something that's lit nicely, has some good sound, and has some good camera placement. Okay. That's where we're going to go with this next part of the conversation, is what it means for some good sound, some good lighting, and some camera placement. Let me come out of that screen share and then share down here. We're going to talk right now about camera placement first, if you don't mind, please. Just real simple. This is as simple as it gets, that if you're going to shoot any video at all, remember that being right in front of somebody, that's like, when I say right in front of them, I mean not like the camera is touching their face, but I mean, are you going to be 3 feet in front of them And if you're going to go and do something which is multiple camera, the cameras shouldn't be lined up like trains right next to one another, right? You shouldn't have camera 1 and camera 2, then camera 3 right next to one another. Camera 1 should be shooting straight on. Camera 2 should be shooting a completely different angle, right? So a different angle of the same subject. So the background shifts. And in most cases, that camera should be farther away. Some of your cameras have zoom ability. Cell phones don't really have zoom ability. I don't want to argue about this, but you having this thing here, this is a locked fixed lens. There is no zoom here. You grabbing your phone and opening and closing your phone with your fingers like this, right? That's not zooming in and zooming out. That's an electronic zoom, which means you're amplifying the video and you're making the video back to normal and you're increasing the size of the pixels. That's the only reason it zooms. That's why it looks kind of garbagey when you zoom in and you do this thing with your fingers, right? So I don't ever encourage anybody to zoom. I tell them to move their camera, right? Because that will give you the best possible lens quality based on the tech that you're currently using. So with that said, this simple picture talks about being really far away at like 17 feet, pretty close at like 8 feet, and even much closer at 3 feet. And when you go from wide shot to medium shot to close up, change your camera angles, wide shot here, medium shot here, close up here, changing different angles, and you will get a much better response, right, from the final audience. They'll enjoy your video program, I think, at a higher level. By the way, this is right out of textbooks, out of journals, out of photographic textbooks, television textbooks, video textbooks, cinematography textbooks. This is all the, it's not dumbed down. This is in my syllabus. I get out to my students. I tell them, this is how I want you to shoot. And when they start shooting like this, their image quality just immediately improves. It goes from a high school student that's, not knowing what they're doing, in 12th grade, and their first video in freshman year of college looks like it was shot by a pro, because nobody ever told them, just move your camera, right? Move it, bring it to a different location, change the background, be cognizant of those things. We talk about what it means to shoot indoor and outdoor, right? I say indoor, you can control your lighting. You can use reflective lighting if you want to. I always tell people never point the camera at the sun or at a light source. I don't know if you guys know that, but if you have a camera and there's a lamp in the background, please don't shoot at a light source, right? It's bad blood. It'll damage your camera. If you're inside, you can off electricity. You can watch your sound, like you can control your environment when you're indoors, and then you can control your stability, right? You always use a tripod, we say, like that's a law. Because look, I'm a very good handheld shooter, but you don't want me shooting handheld all day, right? I'm eventually going to start damaging my body and getting sore and being unable to shoot. So use a tripod. When you're outdoors, be careful of your lighting outside, because then you could have issues with the sun leaking into your lens, right? Understand that if you're outside, you're probably running off a battery, not electricity, which means you're going to run out of juice quickly. And be careful of the sound outside, because people might be outside with horns and planes and lawn mowers and things like that. All right, and we will just skip this next part. Let's get to shooting with some quality here. This is an image of what they call the rule of thirds. And what the rule of thirds is like a tic-tac-toe board over your screen. Your cell phone has a version of this, I'm sure, where you push the button and you have a little tic-tac-toe board. And you're supposed to think about how to put subject matters. Like if you look at my options, 3, 4, 1, and 2 here, which one of these actually falls over the rule of thirds and looks correct? Well, in my opinion, as of right now, if I had to choose which one falls over the rule of thirds and looks closer to correct, I would think that, well, let's see, maybe 4 would fall over the rule of thirds and 3. But 3 doesn't look quite as aesthetically pleasing as 4. But I would probably choose maybe even 2 over 4. But 4 has the tree falling over the bottom intersection of the green lines. So that tic-tac-toe board you see is what they call the rule of thirds, for whether it be 16:9 or whether it be 3:4. So if you can shoot with not putting something right in the center, like number 1 represents, right? Just not bullseye right in the center. You move it over to the right side, you bring it down to where an intersecting line would be, you will automatically be shooting with a much more aesthetically pleasing piece of video. And if you question me guys and gals, go out to the internet, go to Google, type in rule of thirds or the golden rule for cinematography, and this will come up in your face, right? So you should be shooting like this on your cell phones. I'm going to stop the screen share now. So I don't have to go back to this Word document again, but I have to now go back to my my content on the internet. Give me a few seconds here. I'm going to actually shut these off now that I don't need them anymore. So we don't need this one. And again, I'm thankful for your time. Let's watch just for a moment. Yeah, we'll do this. We will watch just a few seconds of this. Okay. So I found this content on the internet. This is not me giving you training. This is something I found on the internet, and we're just going to share it for a few seconds worth of it because I just want to prove to you what it means for people to put lights up in the air. Okay.
We are going to talk about three-point lighting. I've got Jonas with me over in the shadows. He's going to be shooting this episode. Talk about how I do my lighting setup. Woo! That's the last light. Welcome everybody. Rob here. Jonas, you want to take this and serve as the behind the scenes. Jonas is going to be shooting on this main camera, and it looks like this.
Yes.
All right, now what we're doing is we're talking about the lights. Essentially, we have the main camera right here, and it's going to be shooting me with a 50mm lens. We've got 3 lights.
Okay, so this is a part that I'm just going to talk about right now, right? If you look, you'll see that they set up at least 3 lamps. A lamp to the right, a lamp to the left, and a lamp behind them. The camera system he's using for this particular thing is all DSLR. And I will tell you this, the wonderful worlds of DSLR are putting people like me in a real grand position because I have industrial, corporate, high-end big cameras, right? And a lot of you guys are buying these beautiful DSLRs with these prime lenses with a beautiful piece of glass on the front, and you're shooting really high-end material. And it looks gorgeous, let alone using your cell phone. But the most important element here is lighting. Like, it has to be lit. You can't shoot an ambient light and expect your image to look.
1, 2, and actually a big third one up in the back. So my setup is very simple.
So here, again, it's just showing you an example of somebody that has lighting coming in from 3 different locations, a lamp behind him, lighting up his back with a little bit of a hair light, and 2 lamps in front of him. There are ways of regulating this light to make a certain amount of light hit from each side, and that's where an expert with years and years of experience comes in. But just putting some lights in front of you, you could pull lights in your house close to you, right? Doesn't matter what lights you have. Just got to make sure they're all mixed with the same bulb, by the way. So he wouldn't have an LED light in one lamp and a fluorescent light in another lamp and an incandescent lamp and another lamp and bring them to him because they'd be throwing 3 different colors. One would be green, one would be blue, one would be red, right? So make sure all 3 lamps have the same bulbs at the same color temperatures, that's what it's called. And, you know, put them around your subject. And if you do that little trick, at least your videos would look good. Maybe they won't look perfect, but they'll certainly look good. All right, so we're going to shift gears now. Excuse me. Let me get rid of that one. And let's go over here to this video program. And I'll share my screen again. Hold on one moment. Here we go. And then we'll talk about sound for a minute. When I record on my cell phone, by the way, I bring my cell phone, if it's a voiceover video I'm doing, I bring my cell phone right up to my mouth. I record my voiceover once, and then I bring it down farther, and I record it again, and I bring it down farther, and I record it again. I don't record everything by speaking directly to my cell phone like this. You shouldn't be doing that either. In many cases, you could use a set of headphones, right, that have the microphone built in. And if you do that with that little microphone that's built in here, you might get very, very good audio. You'll be real surprised how great the audio could sound. So in some cases, you can wear your earbuds, or at least you can hold that microphone towards your mouth, right? I encourage people even to go into a closet they have in their house with winter jackets hanging around them, and they would do their voiceover and out there because it's sound dampening, right? They end up having a sound dampening environment. It's always in our best interest to not have echo, right? And have, again, the dogs barking in the background. I'll show you this for a moment. We'll screen share this and only show a few moments of this. This is about audio.
Using your smartphone to shoot video and want to record great sound too. In this video, I will look at various strategies to get the best sound. More and more people now shoot video on their mobile device, but the saying goes that audiences have little tolerance for bad audio quality.
Yeah, and this video is a video I chose from the internet. I'm not going to show it. It's impossible to show it. It's too long, right? And it has a lot of materials in it for real professional applications. But the idea of you shooting with your cell phone as a video source, that microphone that's on the cell phone actually receives great audio. So you don't really need to plug in a separate microphone unless you're thinking, well, I'm going to be 10 feet away. Then yes, bring a microphone to the actor. That's important. By the way, my wife and I went out to see the Beyonce concert. This was like, I don't know, 4 years ago or something. And she shot footage like this. She held her phone and she shot this beautiful footage of Beyonce. And then we went out to see, who was it, Pitbull. And she did the same thing. And it turns out her phone's microphone system was right here. So we had great footage, but there was very little, if almost no sound at all. She had her hand covering that microphone to keep herself steady. So when I told you to keep yourself steady, I don't mean that you should be, vacuuming the microphone. You have to know where that mic is and keep yourself steady when you hold that phone. Be hyper aware of that. That might sound like a hint that everybody's already understood or heard of before, but if you've never heard of that, please be careful. Please be hyper aware. Okay, let me go back to my PowerPoint. I'm trying to be cognizant of your time, and I'm thankful of your time. So sound and lighting, we talked a little bit about that. Let's move forward. There's a couple things I still haven't done with you yet, and we're going to do that now. So if you are interested in making purchases and you want to go out and actually buy gear, you can go to your local camera shop, of course, and honor them, which I would encourage you to do. Like your local camera shop, whichever around the corner from you, go in there and talk to them about what it means to do some higher end production work. But certainly if you are going to go to the internet, I like these two organizations. One's called VSA and one's called B&H. For those of you who have heard of them, then you and I have like minds, right? And B&H is very popular. Many people have heard of B&H photo and video. It's not something that most people have not heard of, but if you haven't heard of them, they basically, here's my screen share. I hope you can see B&H now. B&H sells everything: lenses, cameras, bolts and screws for television studios, wires for computers, everything. And they're located in New York. They own one city block. It's an amazing adventure. You order it like on a Tuesday afternoon at 4 o'clock, and it's on your doorstep by Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. They are an amazing organization. And they have everything. It's like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. They have these things going over top of your head when you go in there. You have to go visit. It's a pilgrimage for anybody that does audio and video to go in there. But if you just want to call them and have a discussion with them about what you want to do with your life, and maybe you want to start something and you need some gear to shoot some video programming and record some audio, they'll walk you through it. They're happy to sell you anything because they make money off the sales. But B&H is extremely good. They're fair. They're probably the lower or the lowest price you're going to get. But their sales and their delivery are only closely matched with VSA, which is another company I work closely with as well, and I like very much, and I have a personal relationship with some people who work here. So VSA, again, they sell every piece of gear you can imagine as well, for audio and for video. And if you go ahead and make the effort to call these companies, you'll see how camera systems that are beyond your cell phone are available. There's security cameras, web cameras, or high-end camera systems like these. And you could easily spend on the camera you see in front of you today, right here. You could easily spend $2,000 to $5,000 on that camera system right there, right? Something low end you might think is inexpensive. It could be very expensive. So video people like me, we've made fairly large capital investments into very high-end gear, hoping to earn your business and earn the right to have your business. That doesn't mean that the camera you have can't shoot great video too. It depends on your client and how happy your client, how happy you want to make your client, what that means for you. So VSA, and let me again do my screen share. I'm bouncing back and forth here. So VSA and B&H are two companies that I honor, and I would encourage you to call if you're shopping around for tech. But some people really, really like the idea of renting gear, right? They're into rental and they think rental is important too, because maybe they want to rent a camera and how much that costs. So there's a place called VideoSmith, which is right here in the Philadelphia region, and they will ship your gear, if my memory serves me right, anywhere in the United States for a cost, right? But they're right here, and they have all sorts of gear: camera gear, tripods, lights, jib arms, microphone systems, even things for small cell phones like the little Osmo for the DJI Ronin technology. And you pay a rental fee. So you might be able to rent that $2,000 camera for $200 for the day or for the weekend, and that's better than spending the money and buying it. So if you are interested in seeing something on your own and you wanted to do something, you know, as a funny side note, some of my clients have said, how much do you charge, Craig? How much do you charge? And when I say I charge whatever I charge, they might say, well, that's a lot of money. I didn't think it was that much money. I would say, well, we can rent all the gear. Let's go rent it. And then I'll just operate the gear you rent. Then they go out and see the rental costs. Then they come back to me like, your prices are more than fair, Craig. Like, I know, right? Like, if you want to rent it, by the time you rent the tripod, the lights, all the equipment, you're spending $1,500 just on renting the gear. Right. So that's an important attribute of doing. And I'm sorry, but my phone is going off in the background. People don't know I'm doing this seminar with you today. They're trying to reach out and do business with me. I wanted to show you this quickly, and then I've got two other videos to show, and I'm going to feel comfortable finishing up in a few minutes. This is just a hyperlink out to Google's images that shows you, as an example, where HD versus a higher level of HD versus a higher level of HD versus a higher level of HD would be. And this is 8K, 4K, and then what they call Ultra HD, all the way down here to standard HD, which is still 2000 by well, it's 1920 by 1080, so it's 2000 by 1000, which means the pixels, how many pixels you count going up and how many pixels of light you count going across. So you can see how 4K is much, much, much bigger than HD. It's many times bigger. So when you have something that's that much bigger, you can dumb it down and you can make it smaller much easier. So that's why some people love shooting in 4K. But of course, you're shooting in 4K, but you're delivering in 2K or something close to that, right? Because nobody can play 4K. You know, many of the television stations today are only showing things in 720. They're not even showing things in 1080. So even though we have that conversation about what it means, what does it mean? What does it mean? You know, these large organizations can't even show high-end product, high-end footage, because the camera systems, the systems they're using for broadcast can't handle that bandwidth. It's like the difference between a fire hose pumping water through it versus your faucet in your sink with the amount of pressure, right? So 4K is so much bigger than 2K that there aren't that many people even creating material in 4K because they don't have computers fast enough to even run them, right? So I want to warn you that even though I can shoot in 4K, I probably would be editing in 2K because my computer can handle it, but we'll always have that 4K footage to go back to if you want to reestablish a timeline someday. So I'm going to show you one or two more things and then we'll answer some questions, okay? And if that's the proper way of doing things, Ed, I'm appreciative of your time helping me out here. So this is my business website, which is my social event website. Just wanted to give you an idea. So to catering to brides and social events and to the midst of families, right? So that's for social events. And then I have, of course, a corporate website. And the corporate website, I think you can see the corporate one now, Ed, right? It's showing up correctly?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so the corporate website is my corporate identity. Like I said, I have a social event identity for the brides and the families, and then I have a corporate identity for corporate clientele, including like do depositions for lawyers and things like that too. So, you know, the reason I'm showing you this is because just to give you an idea that, you know, like yourself, I've got to try to figure out who my business clientele is as well. I'm going to stop that share. I'm going to shut those down. Give me a moment. And at this point, I think it's important I just show you a little bit of moving video. That's kind of all I'm going to do here, is show you a little bit of moving video. And then once we're done, this will take about 5 more minutes, and then we'll take questions, okay? I don't know if I just saw Joe Santoro pop up there. If that's a Joe I know. Hi, Joe. Oh, my God. Funny seeing you, brother. I think that was Joe Santoro. All right. I've had the pleasure of doing some video live streams recently. And this is an example of a video live stream I did over the summer for the Tacony Charter School. And just give you an idea of what 4 cameras live switch looks like. Here you go. So in this case, this was actually 4 cameras switching back and forth to all 4 cameras, with audio being supplied to me from the environment, from the facility. And then I had my own audio system recording. I had a camera operator operating 1 camera and 3 stagnant cameras, and we were live streaming straight out to the internet. So this just gives you an idea of, what it means to do things different, doing things different than just a single camera, right? So there's all sorts of opportunities.
Takes you. Let this be a new launching point, projecting you.
Okay, that's so much fun to watch. Everybody loves watching graduations, right? And I will show you something that's a little bit popular. I'm very friendly with somebody that you guys might recognize. I'm only allowed to show about 10 seconds of it, but I'm friendly with Chubby Checkers, and we just did a video program for Chubby a couple months ago, a couple seconds. It just gives you an idea of, again, multiple camera live production and what that means. Most people are asking me for something different than that. So again, for you, I've got here, and this is, I was told by Ed it was okay to show people some stuff that relates to the business world. So this is something I did as a live stream for the Tesla Science Foundation over the summer.
Okay, we're going to get started here. I want to say hello to everyone and thank you for joining us.
So you've watched enough Zooms. You're watching a Zoom about a Zoom, right? How strange is that? But inside this production, we end up having to play video programming like we're doing today. Play video programming of that organization, right? Because at that time it was the COVID regulations prohibited us from meeting together. People just couldn't get together from across
their talent and how they had an interest in our organization. And
okay, so we're going to skip that one and go over here. This is just an example of some standard everyday cable commercials. And again, things you can do as well.
Sometimes shopping for carpet could be a horror story. Watch this.
Come in.
I'm from Vampire Shop at Home Services. Why buy a 12x9 rug when I can install this room for $3,000?
That's too much.
Blah.
Specialty Floors can do my carpet for $1,500.
That's right. We're half the price of Shop at Home companies. So call Specialty Floors for a free estimate. Easton and Woodland Roads, Roslyn Valley.
Okay, so I've done a number of commercials, of which I won't show you anymore because of lack of time. We are at that point when the seminar should really be complete. So I just wanted to thank all of you for the time you spent with me here today. I am open if you have some questions, Ed, that you want to entertain from the chat. And at this point, I'll go on mute until you decide what you want to do with it.
All right. No, we have questions, and I will read them to you. One of them that came on is kind of interesting. The person has a number of YouTube videos, and and they're brief, less than 2 minutes. But lately, he's noticing that unauthorized advertisements that are somehow popping up at the start of his videos. And he said it's a pain, and people don't like them. How do you stop that from happening? That's an interesting question. And you're on mute, so you have to demute yourself.
Yeah, I was trying to read some of the chats there. So he's put videos up on YouTube, right?
Yes.
Well, he doesn't have a free subscription to YouTube, right? I mean, he doesn't have a paid subscription. So YouTube puts commercial packages up in front of content, especially when it's popular content, right? So because if they see that you're being watched and you're not monetizing it, is this person monetizing his YouTube channel?
I read you everything he said, so.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry about that. So if you're monetizing the YouTube channel, which means that you've got a channel, people for some reason love watching the kind of content you put up there, and you've got a lot of followers, YouTube will eventually pay you for that, right? And if you get paid per the amount of times people watch your content, in many cases, they put commercial packages up on that as well. So do I know why it's happening? No, I'm not. I know a lot, but that's one specific question I don't know a direct answer to. I'd have to do some homework and figure that out. But he's welcome to reach out to me and we can have a discussion about it. Maybe I can help him figure it out.
Somebody's saying, have you heard of and or used CRISP for background noise canceling?
Are you talking about okay. So if that question came up regarding Zoom versus me using a microphone system, I've got professional wireless and wired microphone systems with equalizing boxes and things like that. So I do everything a little bit old school. I don't put myself in a position in general where I have background noise on my original recordings. That's unwelcomed noise. So those new software packages that you're talking about are meant to help those people who recorded content that maybe they didn't like so much. The audio wasn't great. So I have heard of the software. I have not yet played with it. So I'd be a bad source to give you an evaluation on that.
All right. Have you heard of Gimbal? And any recommendations on brand or functions or features? I don't know what Gimbal is.
I'm trying to look down the list myself to figure out who asked that question.
Kim did.
I believe that they're asking, do you use gimbals with cameras?
Oh, gimbal. Yeah. Okay. Right. Exactly. So a gimbal is a piece of gear that goes under your video camera to steady the camera.
Oh,
and the answer is yes. I'm a very big DJI Ronin fan. But the cameras that you would use for them are different than you using a Steadicam vest that would hold a bigger camera. So if you've got a 5 or 8 or 10 pound camera, can't use a gimbal. If you have a little DSLR that weighs 1.5 pounds or 2 pounds or something like that, yeah, you could use a DJI Ronin S or other versions. And yes, so I do use them, and they're expensive and they're wonderful to use.
Okay.
Not terrible expensive.
Another question here. What does ECU macro stand for? And may you show us an example of macro?
Oh boy. So you were referring back to when I used my chart. So there's long shot, medium shot, close up, and then there's extreme close up, which means the camera is very, very close to the subject. And when a camera is between 0 inches and 3 feet, meaning when the camera is at 3 feet away, when you come closer than 3 feet with virtually any camera, you come in professional level cameras, different than cell phones, you come into that area called the macro focus area. And you have to, in professional level cameras, there's a lens characteristic you can turn so you can be in focus 6 inches away or 10 inches away or 12 inches away. And that's good for getting very, very interesting detailed shots of any given subject matter, right? So your cell phone may, however, go in, it's always in autofocus anyway, right? So you could bring your cell phone close to your subject matter, and the closer you get, it just stays in focus because it's automatically focusing its tiny little tech that's built into the camera. So ECU means extreme close-up, and macro is a naming convention given to a lens characteristic to get you in focus at that extreme close-up.
What about ring lights? Do you use ring lights?
Yeah, a ring light, there's a couple different manifestations of them. A ring light is a circular light that has a hole in the center of it, in most cases, for you to put the lens of your camera. So the lighting is coming from around the lens at your subject. you know. And yes, I've used ring lights before. I've got professional stand-up lamps, and I've got professional on-camera LED lamps. I migrated away from tungsten balanced lamps a long time ago. So now all my lamps are LEDs, and I put filters on them so they don't look blue, because LED unfortunately glows a little blue sometimes, even if you've got the proper filters on. But the ring lamps are very good for home users who have a DSLR and they want to stick the lens through the ring, is kind of what the objective is of them. And they work. Yeah. You can get Amazon, you can get stuff like that for very, very cheap. So
what are your thoughts on mirrorless cams for video?
So we've migrated from real high-end video technology cameras to DSLRs that have a DSLR. SLR means single lens reflex, which means there's a mirror that pops up and falls down. DSL and the thing that's in it is film, right? It's a film camera. When you say DSLR, that means digital single lens reflex, which means there's no longer film. It's an imaging sensor. It's a chip, a computer chip. So when you go mirrorless, that means that mirror doesn't exist anymore, right? So you don't push a button, you hear click, click, because there's no mirror that flips up, lets light in, and flips down. So a mirrorless camera for video and stills is kind of like the new technology. It's kind of like the electric car. Everybody's talking about it. What do I think about it? I know people who own mirrorless cameras, and they are very successful at shooting their cable commercials and training videos and social events. And they're having the times of their life with that, because they're migrating away from their mirror-based cameras to mirrorless. Do I believe they're the future? I would think so. Do I think I want to spend the extra money on them? It doesn't necessarily. I've got equipment that, you know, when you buy a piece of equipment, it's like a car. It has to last you a couple of years, right? If I spend a couple of dollars today, I don't want it to last me 5 years. And inside that 5 years, there might be two big technology shifts. You know, now it's mirrorless cameras. What's going to be 5 years from now? Something brand new beyond that one. So when you buy that camera, it's got to last. So I'm not impressed by the cameras. I know they exist, and I know people who are using them, and they're enjoying them at a high level. Do I think they look better? Not necessarily. Again, it depends on the person who's using it, and if they know how to put the prime lens on and how to light the scene, right? So
here's an interesting question. If you're using several devices with different image qualities as cameras, would that make a huge difference when it comes to your videos?
Yes.
Okay.
You know, I can extrapolate on that, but the truth is that's like saying you have a McDonald's hamburger, a Burger King hamburger, a Wendy's hamburger, then you have a Five Guys hamburger, you have an Applebee's hamburger, and you have a hamburger from a restaurant in Center City that charges you $27 for a hamburger. Like the $1 hamburger is going to taste different than the $15 hamburger, right? It should. It's 15 times the cost. So if you've got a really low end video capture device, like my video capture device on my computer today, maybe isn't as good as my video capture device on my cell phone, maybe isn't as good as my video capture device on my big video camera. So if you're going to mix them together, then the expectation needs to be that when you go to Acme and you buy Acme brand, maybe, I don't know, orange juice, for $3, it probably isn't going to taste the same as a $6, you know, organic, freshly squeezed orange juice. It's just not the same, right? You shouldn't be comparing them, is what I'm saying, right? And if you integrate them, you have to expect them to have a deviation look.
Are you concerned with viewership? Do you have any recommendations on promoting your video?
My concern on viewership. So I don't know what that means. I'm happy that today took place and that we had this time to spend together. I'm a professional independent business like yourselves. I would love you to use me as a vendor and not hire somebody else. But I know that the objective of today was to give you a little bit of an education in what it means to do video work. So
I think they were thinking of viewership in terms of their product. They make a video and now they want people to look at it. So how do I promote it? And should I be concerned? I would assume you'd be concerned about viewership. If nobody watches it, why, you know, that's not good.
So this is good. I'm going to try to make this very quick, if I may, Ed, because I know we're on a time constraint. When you create a video program and it resides on YouTube and it resides on Vimeo, it's just like you buying a plot of land up in the hills of West Virginia on the side of a mountain and you build a really nice hotel. If people don't know it exists, then then it doesn't matter that you built it. So you can make a product like a really great video program or a really beautiful photo or whatever and put it somewhere. And if people don't know it exists, then you're never going to get any traction. People aren't going to use you as a vendor because they're not watching your stuff. So if you make a great video program and put it to YouTube, you need to be the marketing human being, the marketing champion of your own business, where you take that URL, that YouTube video, when it's playing, you copy that URL and you post it to Facebook and you post it to your email account and you email that to everybody you know, and you've got to promote the garbage out of yourself. You have to be your own marketer unless you're going to hire and have an internal content creation manager team, somebody who's going to do that stuff for you. So yeah, I've made a lot of videos, guys and gals, made a lot of videos that have sat on YouTube, and the organizations I made them for never promoted them, paid me for my time. And they had the final video, and I know they're just not out telling people they exist. And they're wondering why they're not getting clicks, and they're wondering why they're not getting leads. And I might say to them kindly, how many times have you taken that video and told people it exists? You have to be telling people. So if I'm going to make something for you, part of my job is to say, don't make me make it and then you not use it. You got to use it. So it's like everything else, right?
Right. We have just time for one more here. What is best place to go viral? Your YouTube versus TikTok?
Oh my God.
I don't have an answer for that.
Yeah, well, YouTube, again, is its own animal. If you create a channel like you do, let's say you create a channel on earthworming, like you're good at planting plants in your backyard, and you start making a series of videos on what it's like to put earthworms in the ground, and you make a bin and you're growing tomato plants and whatever, and you make 10 videos and you make a little short 2-minute video every 2 weeks, and people are watching them, you've got millions of viewership. Well, that's a way to go viral because people want to see it, or a certain clique of people want to go see it, right? TikTok is its own animal, right? You could take the same videos you made for YouTube and repurpose them for TikTok. You're allowed to do that. So you just have to have those people in your life that are the multimedia people, that know how to take those videos back to a timeline, re-edit them in the proper aspect ratios, because TikTok is vertical, not horizontal, right? And then put them out. So it's difficult to answer that question because virality means that people like your stuff and they pass it on.
How many followers do you need to get paid for the YouTube? You mentioned before, after a while, they would pay you. How many followers do you need?
Yeah, I would be, if I gave you an answer, I'd be remiss. I'd be lying to you. I don't know if it's over a certain amount, like it's over 1 million or 100,000 followers. I could get back to you on that. And you could post that back out to your following. I don't know.
Okay. You can send that answer to Charlie and he'll put it out on the thing. Okay. All right. We're right at our appointed time and people have to sort of get back to work, and so do you. We want to say thank you so much. It was very informative and people really learned a lot. I saw a number of very positive comments in the chat. I'm just going to turn it back to Linda, our chapter chair, for a closing remark. Linda?
Greg, that was awesome. That was a great presentation. I learned a lot. I'm sure everybody on the call today learned a lot, and we appreciate your time in putting this together. And I'd like to thank everyone who joined us today. Another really informative topic. So look for some more. I think next week we have one as well, Ed. Is that correct?
Yes, we do. We have, Ed, of course, doesn't have a sheet in front of him.
The SBA.
Yes, we have the SBA to talk about. Everybody's interested in borrowing money, and those are the guys.
Okay. So tune in again next Tuesday, same time, same channel. Craig, once again, thank you. Ed, thank you. And Charlie behind the scenes, thank you. And I thank all of you for joining. Remember, if you need any help, it's buckscounty.score.org. Thanks again. Bye-bye.